welcome to Traffic Time. We're enjoying this lovely drive, stuck in traffic. So we're going to go ahead and talk about something that comes up a lot, especially in the bike community. What's better, or what should I get? A 600cc or 1000cc motorcycle? So to start, I have owned both the 600 and the 1000cc Honda. Both motorcycles were fantastic. They're great. Off the bat, if I were to say in general which one I would like to keep, it would be the 600. If I were to get another one, which I most likely will get in the next few years, it will be a 600cc bike. And I'll let you know why. And I'll let you decide and weigh the pros and cons to those reasons to see if you come up with the same ending answer. So to start, as far as power, so yes, the 600cc is gonna be less powerful than 1000, right? So in this case, the numbers do make sense. So 600 is smaller than 1000. That is a measurement of the engine. If you're new to motorcycles or engines in general, cubic centimeters, that is going to be the size, and the size of the engine will produce, more horsepower, give or take. Typically, the 600 cc's range in the 90 horsepower, give or take. Again, there are bikes that produce more, some less. The 1000 cc's get into the 100, triple digits, 120 horsepower, 130. They can get pretty high, they can get pretty strong. But in general, those don't sound like a lot of horsepower when you're used to 200, 300, 400 horsepower cars, right? But the weight ratio is what really plays a big role in the 600 and 1000 cc motorcycles. Bikes, in general, yes, they weigh a lot less than the vehicle or a car, but they still weigh a couple hundred pounds. So 400 to 500 pound bikes, 600 pound bikes. Again, depending on the model you get, they do vary a little bit, but typically around that weight is what you expect to have. One key thing with the power output that I talked to several individuals, especially those that are looking to buy their first bike, or they're in 250, 400cc area right now where they're ready to drive, and they ask, what are the benefits, or what can I look forward to? I'm scared to get a 600, I'm scared to get a 1000. The 600cc can eventually produce as much horsepower, as much power as the 1000cc with a couple modifications. Just like a lot of modified cars, the same thing can be done to a motorcycle. With a few horsepower, so if you notice, the 600 to 1000cc doesn't have a huge difference. It's not like a car where you need 200-300 horsepower difference to really take over the speed of a race. The 600 to 1000cc just needs a few couple digits of horsepower to catch up to be in that same range. There are tunes, air filters, internals. There's a lot of modifications that can be done. There are simple ones that can be done just to get you that little extra boost. And typically, I wouldn't even say typically, I would say it is common for a lot of people to modify their four cylinders to get that muscle, that strength. Especially if you don't live in areas where you can take off. There's not a lot of long distances. If your commute is typically in short range areas, having a lot of torque up front, some horsepower that can get you in and out of areas, having the agility of a small bike really comes in handy. Having a 600cc over the 1000cc does allow you to have a little bit more agility. When you're looking at them standing side by side, you don't see a huge difference But once you're maneuvering, especially in that lower range, lower speeds, 30, 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, having a lighter bike, a smaller bike, even though it's just by a little bit, does help you maneuver in and out a lot smoother. Now again, having the 1000, I was still able to maneuver in and out, especially in the freeways. It went fast. You can maneuver in and out of spots. Not that I recommend doing so, but we have to get out of a jam or you're just going through traffic, trying to maneuver through certain areas. It did feel more comfortable and easier to control and maneuver with the smaller bike. And again, the purpose of my bike wasn't so much just to cruise or have it as a weekend bike. Both my bikes have been the commuter motorcycles. I took them to work, to school. I wanted to make sure I got from point A to point B in the fastest possible way to avoid traffic. Not that I was trying to do 100 miles an hour, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stuck in traffic for hours on end. Motorcycles allow you to do that. At least in California. I'm not sure if you're allowed in other states to zigzag through traffic, but in California it is a common practice, especially if you do it safely. There will be no issue. But again, having that smaller bike does allow you to transition smoothly, go through traffic. And as I say that, I have a nice big Harley driving by. Looks like that gentleman is very comfortable going through the lanes, and he's not going fast. And again, that goes back to maneuvering the traffic can be done with small or big bikes, but it will be easier for you to maneuver, especially if you're a smaller individual or you're a beginner. The 600cc will be better for your field. One thing that I didn't think about that just makes sense, but it wasn't really hitting me until I purchased a 1000cc, is the amount of gas necessary to fire up that motorcycle and to drive at the speeds that you want to drive. Having the 600cc, I would get 30, 40, up to 50 miles per gallon. But once I got the 1000cc, I was stuck around that 30 mile per gallon. If I really just went in local areas, I could probably push to 35, 40. But it was difficult to get the same miles per gallon, the same distances, in that 3-gallon tank. Now, when you're looking at it compared to a car or truck, obviously you're getting a lot more regardless. But if you're looking to buy a motorcycle to save money on fuel, then the 600cc definitely makes the most sense, because that's how you'll get the best bang for your buck. If you want to go even smaller, obviously a 400 or 250 will save you in that area. Just comparing the 600 to 1000, the 600 definitely is a key gas saver. My third area to think about that I wasn't thinking about once I purchased the bike. A lot of people barely register their bikes. I get that, and probably the same amount or less register their bikes and insure it. Obviously, it is expensive, especially for young drivers or new drivers. I've already had my experience. I've driven motorcycles for a while, so I am able to get a low rate. But having the 1000cc does make it a challenge, because not every insurance company insures the 1000cc bikes. And it makes sense why a lot of people don't get the insurance for the bikes, because they can't get insured, or they're paying an arm and a leg for that insurance. Sometimes literally. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you guys. But yes, having a bigger bike is considered a high risk for insurance companies. So depending on your age, you're most likely not going to be able to get it, or it will cost you a high dollar value per month to get that insurance. I was able to get full coverage for around $85 a month. Now, I don't know if that's a lot or a little bit to some of you, but I was just happy to be able to get the bike insured. And there was no way that I was going to get that bike and use it as a daily driver without having full coverage. Just making sure that I take care of myself, my family, if something were to happen. A lot of people don't think about that. They feel like they're indestructible, or they feel like they are able to avoid accidents, injuries. But I definitely know enough drivers to know that it's almost impossible to avoid an accident by driving a lot and driving for so many years. So keep that in mind if you're going out to get your first bike, or you're trying to get a bigger bike. If you're new, if you haven't been driving motorcycles for a long time, that is an expense to consider when getting that bigger bike. All right, and lastly, not so much something to consider, but maybe something to think about. If you are somebody that's giving somebody else a ride, your girlfriend, your spouse, your partner, whoever, if you're carrying somebody, the 600cc is definitely capable of doing so. I don't know the weight limit or the max. I'm sure I've been under that limit every time I give my wife a ride. But I feel like the 1000cc just feels a little bit more sturdy when carrying a passenger. It just feels a little stronger. It feels like it can carry and maneuver a passenger a lot better. A lot of people, that's why they get touring bikes, or Hogs or Harleys, just to carry the passengers. But if you're on a sports bike and you know you're going to be carrying a passenger, an adult passenger, I would recommend the 1000cc's, especially if you're doing long distance trips. If you're driving more than 30-40 miles each way for either work or school, definitely recommend the 1000 with the passenger. But overall, looking at all the areas, I definitely feel like the 1000cc is more of a luxury, something that I don't feel is necessary. If you have the money, if you have multiple bikes, the 1000cc is definitely something to have. If you do track time, if you do racing, long distances, big open spaces, they are a lot of fun. But for my everyday, for those that are just like having on the weekends, the 600cc is definitely the way to go. Let me know what comments you guys have. If you own a bike, if you have a bike, what are your thoughts and opinions on the two? If you own both, if you have both, what comments or takeaways do you give everybody else? Let me know. Hope you guys had a great day today. If you're going to work, have a safe drive. If you're already home, have a great afternoon. See you guys there.